So I didn't really plan on talking today. I was just on my way running some errands, and I just figured that um, it'd be worth having a few things to say. I want to keep it short. Like I've said before, I know that like I could talk for half an hour, but not everyone has half an hour to 45 minutes to take out of their day to listen to this. Um, I think I just want to recognize that, like, in my last post, I shared the book that I've been reading, Dare, and it just introduces a response to anxiety, well, just a way of looking at anxiety that I'd never thought of before. And it really reshaped the way that I respond to it. Um, because I've said before that like I've had anxious thoughts where I've like physically just shaken my head and been like, we're not thinking about that. But I just know that the same anxiety is just going to come crashing through the window later on. So it could be, so that is suppressing those anxious thoughts are temporary relievement or a temporary relief, but they definitely don't solve the problem, the root problem, the core problem. And so, like I said in my last post, that like anxiety doesn't disappear overnight. You don't start taking an antidepressant, SSRI, a Xanax, a Klonopin, and then you wake up the next morning and your worries and fears are gone. It may help somewhat in the moment, but it's not the case. And since moving to Thailand, I mean, anxiety isn't new for me. I mean, I dealt with this was all behind the scenes well before I moved to Thailand, but now I have the time and I think most importantly the confidence to be open about it in a way that I haven't been before. Beforehand, I did suppress it and kind of, well, not kind of, I blame myself for it. I thought of it as like a bad quality about myself. And it's not a life sentence, it's just your body's misguided way of reacting to uncertainty. And so when you take a leap, when you take a risk, it's natural for your body to have that kind of reaction if you don't know what's going to happen. So really the goal, that if you choose to read that book, which I'd highly recommend, the goal isn't to just magically make these things disappear. Setbacks are common. Recovery from whatever dark place you may be in is going to come with setbacks. There could be a lot of anxious mornings, anxious afternoons, anxious nights, fear, tears. It's okay to not be okay. It's really okay to not be okay. All of that is just part of the process. But if you trust in your head that you're moving in a direction to help yourself, then that is your heart talking to you. Your heart's a hormonal gland, so that really does have some power to speak to your mind. You're not always your thoughts. So, I mean, if you have that voice telling you, coming from your heart, like, I am moving in the right direction I'm in the right direction, moving in the right direction to get better, and your mind is telling you, your thoughts are telling you that I'm having a setback right now, I'm right back to square one. Trust that voice, trust that inner voice. I'm serious, I know this sounds corny, but like trust that inner voice. Because I think just by like watching me talk, listening to me talk, and hearing me out, and just taking the time to focus on yourself in regards to your mental health means that you're looking out for yourself, that you're moving in the right direction, that you have a sense of self-worth. So, anyways, a point that I wanted to get across, and you may have heard this before. I made an Instagram story yesterday about, it was like WebMD, and if anyone's ever dealt with like health anxiety, which I have, WebMD is not your friend at all. And to be honest, the internet in general, no matter what your anxiety issue is, I would just, for one, never go to WebMD, and two, just avoid the internet altogether, because it's just, I may have said this before, but it's just like a bathroom wall, and people can write whatever you want on there, and you can take from it whatever you want. You can take whatever you want from it. So to give you like a real life example, when I got my my sleeve isn't finished, but when I got the initial part of my sleeve done, my elbow ditch, so like right here, done, for one, it hurt really bad, and two, the recovery process there is difficult because like you're constantly moving that part of your body naturally, and that's not a stretchy skin area, so a tattoo scabs up, and the scab just kept breaking. So I noticed some redness, I noticed some itchiness, and I noticed some pus coming from it. So naturally, I went online to look up what these symptoms could be, and infections, etc. came up. And then that led me down the rabbit hole of what that could turn into. My tattoo could be ruined, it could lead to blood poisoning. I probably went to urgent care at least twice. I was texting friends frantically, sending them pictures, and every single one of them was just like, you're fine. Just let it take its course, let it run its course. The elbow ditch sucks. It's just part of the process. It's a tough place to get tattooed, but like, trust your artist. I was messaging my artist constantly, calling him constantly, being like, hey, I noticed this today. Like, this doesn't seem normal. I went online, I read this, am I at risk for this? And I mean, it got to the point that he got annoyed. I'm sure he did. Like, I could just tell in the tone of his voice that he was like, just calm down. Because if you go online, you're just going to read horror stories. So, I mean, I've fucked myself over so many times in other forms of anxiety too, and other manifestations, other topics of just going online, reading articles, statistics, and then comparing myself to other people or whatever, and it just doesn't help. It may provide you some temporary relief, but like I said, just the same anxiety is just going to come crashing through the door. And you're you, and the internet just is not a representation. I mean, what people write online can't match your situation. It can't. And so I mean, you may disagree with me, but from my personal experience, going online, Google, WebMD, Mayo Clinic, whatever, for whatever kind of anxiety it may be, has not been helpful. And I mean, if you really do feel like if it's a serious issue, a serious health issue, then go speak with a general practitioner, whatever. But trust the resources that you have before going online. That's the advice I'm going to give. Trust the vocal resources that you have whether it be a therapist, or in my situation, my tattoo artist, or my friends who have also been tattooed in the same area. If they're telling you you're good, you're probably good. And so I hope that provides some reassurance, that's some solace. I mean, I'm so guilty of this. Going on my phone, I'm uncertain about something. The book gives an interesting example. It's like if you were to scratch your head right now, and you scratch your head and you naturally hear a sound, but if you didn't know where that sound came from, that'd be kind of alarming in a way. And so my natural response would be to look up, hey, when I scratch my head, it makes this sound, what's going on? And then it could list every possible symptom, and then that's when your mind just goes down that rabbit hole, and then you start freaking out. It's just not healthy. So, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. For one, like I get that what touched on in my last video. I think the main point of my last video actually was just recognizing the anxiety, like these anxious thoughts, these anxious manifestations are there. They may come out of nowhere. They're there. I see you. I'm going to kind of give you almost a comical or just less intimidating perceptive, if that's the right word, or character, and I'm going to let you do what you need to do. Let you run through my head, let you give me bodily sensations, but then I'm going to engage myself. It's been hard, like it's been really hard. So like I'm not trying to speak to you as like a guru. I'm still doing this as we speak. I'm still practicing this as we speak, and I've failed many times, and it's hard. It's really hard, but I do trust that it helps because I feel much better now than I did a month ago, certainly a month before that. And so keep track of those things. I keep track of my anxiety level and my well-being on a regular basis, on a daily basis, multiple times a day. If I wake up in the morning, I'm feeling anxious, 6 out of 10, all right, 6 out of 10. Well-being, 4 out of 10. And it's straight if you wake up feeling anxious one day. It doesn't mean that your treatment is failing. It doesn't mean that you're headed for failure. It just means that it's, for some reason, you woke up feeling uneasy. And that's just what anxiety is and does. And use the tools that the book provides, that I've been practicing, like I think everyone knows, everybody who deals with anxiety knows that those moments don't last forever. And so yeah, then maybe that's something to try, is just writing down how you're feeling, write down the time of day, write down your anxiety level on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being carefree, 10 being full-blown panic attack. Same goes for well-being. Well-being, 1 being your life's doomed, 10 being like I'm high on life right now. And so those are things that I've done that have been helpful. And don't use the internet. Don't use Google. Trust your resources. Trust the people around you. And everything's going to be okay. so I'll cut it there. And I'm sure I'll be talking again soon.